Hope all are doing good, and very good afternoon to all. So myself Arjun, and I'm an IRS officer, income tax. So working as Assistant Commissioner of Income Tax of Cochin right now. I'm here to discuss. Hope everyone have gone through the 2023 prelims examination paper. So it was like a paper which is different from the regular usual pattern which UPSC asks, but we are supposed to expect these like unexpected from UPSC. So I'll be discussing the questions as well as the total trend as well as the analysis of the 2023 paper, which would be useful to many of you. And I would also like to point out certain things which could have been done in the 2023 prelims paper from my side and from my logic. So first, initially, I would start by giving a small brief on how the paper was to a large section, or especially to me. I also give the paper, so I can give from my own experience also. So 2, 3 pointers before starting the total discussion. The first was, as all of you know, whoever have given the attempt or whoever have attempted the paper or whoever has seen the paper, you must have understood that it is totally a different paper compared to the other 2018, 2019, 2020 or 21, whichever the papers be, even 2022 paper. So the major change which UPSC did is they have done with elimination. Now there is no scope for elimination in this paper. If you have knowledge, if you have content, you could attempt the papers. Otherwise, it is quite difficult for a person to attempt the paper with usual elimination techniques, especially when it comes to theoretical subjects or factual subjects like modern India, ancient and medieval India, as well as environment, etc. So even in polity, some or the other sorts of elimination could have been done this time also, and even in modern India also, some or the other elimination could have been done. But largely speaking, at least 75% of the questions are basically content oriented or factual based questions, where they expect the candidates to know the content before attempting or during attempting the examination. So that is the first point. Second thing is, here earlier examinations, so I have given examination from 2018. So I have cleared the consecutive 4 prelims, 2018, 2019, 2020, and 2020 was my year of service. 2021 also I wrote prelims. So in all these attempts, I cleared prelims. So in all these attempts, I could understand that if you have elimination techniques and if you have 50% of the content, you can easily sail through prelims, because prelims was all about elimination and all about recognizing the answers or recognizing which is correct or not memorizing things. That pattern has changed this time. So now you need to know about the content as well as elimination techniques, at least so as to clear through the prelims. And the cutoffs also, in 2018 it was around 98. Now it is expected to be around 77 or 80s, as per many of the institutes as well as many of the people who have cleared also. The results are out also. So that are the two major analysis which I would like to give on this paper. So, and third one, the UPSC has gone into nitty-gritties. So, especially in ancient and medieval India, they have asked specifically from various topics, which is ancient and medieval India used to be most skipped topics, especially during 2018, 2019 and all, because if you are good at polity, environment, modern India and all, you can easily get through. You will get the enough score to get through. So people usually skip ancient and medieval India. Now the situation is like you need to know about the ancient and medieval India so as to land up in a safe score, or you want to clear the cutoff. So those are the three major things which I want to say before I start this analysis. So, starting with this analysis, I'll be discussing the questions, their answers, as well as if there could have been some other techniques which we could use in that also, so that you can think in that way also. Because I have been using this elimination techniques in my previous attempts also. So in the questions, the first thought which will come into my mind is whether I know the answer or not. Second is whether is there some part of the question which I know, or the statements which I know. And the third is like I don't have anything to do on those questions which are supposed to skip those questions because I don't want to take that risk. So those are the things which I want to say before I start. And initially itself, the the preface which I want to give was, initially I'm starting with ancient India. So let's go to the first question. So the first question was, in which one of the following regions was Thanyakataka, which flourished as a prominent Buddhist sites under the Mahasanghas, located? So they have given three options: Andhra, Gandhara, Kalinga, and Magadha. So by reading all these four options, you know that these were all the four were prominent Buddhist sites, and especially this Gandhara. Gandhara, you must have been known through Buddhist architecture. Gandhara architecture is very famous, and Kalinga, where the Ashoka got it, the war with Ashoka happened, and Ashoka actually converted to Buddhism. Magadha is obviously a prominent Buddhist site, and Andhra is also a prominent Buddhist site, where you can see in recent current affairs also, you must have gone through, where a large number of stupas are being now also excavated. So this is Pakka, a factual question. Yeah, there are two places from South India, which is Andhra as well as Kalinga. Uh, so Mahasangikas. So in this question, you need to know that Mahasangikas as well as Stavravadians and Mahasangikas were the two sects of Buddhism. So you need to know about the knowledge of that. And if you have, so if you have that basic knowledge, you can know that Thanyakataka is located in Andhra Pradesh. If you have that basic knowledge, and if you know about the spread of Buddhism into Andhra Pradesh, you would have known about this Thanyakataka. So this is actually mentioned in one of the plus two NCRTs also, Themes in Indian History Part 1. So whoever went to that question textbooks would have known this. So that nothing has to be done on elimination or something, or you need to know the content. So the second question is from art and culture. This is quite an easy question which you can do. With reference to ancient India, consider the following statements. The concept of stupa is of Buddhist origin. Second is, stupa was generally a repository of relics. Third is, stupa was a votive and commemorative structure in Buddhist structure. So they have given, as usual, the options throughout this paper is just one, only two statements, three statements, and none of the statements. So there is no scope for 1, 2, 3, or 3 only or something where we could have eliminated. But in this question, if you see the second and third statement is stupa was generally a repository of relics. So that with the basic knowledge of stupa, what stupa is, anyone can crack, anyone can know that. So second statement obviously is correct. Third statement was stupa was a votive and commemorative structure in Buddhist tradition. Earlier, it used to be relics. It should be storage of relics, but it is also a commemorative structure, stupa, because many of the kingdoms have actually constructed stupa as a part of their commemoration of religious as well as some other wars, etc. So 2 and 3 obviously need to be correct. Now comes the first statement. The concept of concept of stupa is of Buddhist in origin. Whenever this statement comes, just think for a second. Why UPSC will ask stupa so anyone knows that it is associated with Buddhism? So UPSC doesn't need to ask you that this is of Buddhist. If it is associated with Buddhism, everyone knows that it is associated with Buddhism largely. But does that belongs to Buddhist origin? So there is one question. So if you have gone through UPSC's pattern of question preparation, if they are saying that this is of that origin or this have been recently inaugurated, so there is some catch in that. So if you know this, if they know this UPSC language, you can easily eliminate the first statement, because if the concept of Buddha is Buddhist origin, they need not give that as such. And hence, you can safely eliminate the first option. Second and three obviously needs to be correct with basic knowledge. So only two statements will be correct. And for your content, for your knowledge, this is actually mentioned in various Rigveda, Yajurveda, etc. So it need not be of Buddhist origin alone. So yeah. So now going to the third question. Yeah, this is very factual question, but with reference to ancient South India, Korkai, Pumpahar, and Muchiri was well known as. So in this question, if you know, this is the Pumpahar. If you have known the basics of ancient and medieval India, whoever have prepared, Kubhar is one of the capitals, and it is located. It is also called as it was also on the banks of the Kaveri River. So, and if it is related to Sangam literature also, if you have known that. So, from this you can and the other options are like either it's capital cities, second is ports, third is centers of iron and steel making, and fourth is shrines of Jain Tirthankaras. So in South India, you should have known that in the question itself they have given South India. South India, the shrines of Jain Tirthankaras are very less, and those are prominently located in Karnataka, where you can see Jain Tirthankara statues at various places. But these places, other than that, in South India, there is some, Shravana Belagala. I just didn't get that. Shravana Belagala was one of the prominent Jain sites in Karnataka. Other than that, there are some in Tamil Nadu, in Kanyakumari district. But other than that, there are very less Jain prominent locations in South India, basically these three, four states. So you can easily eliminate shrines of Jain Tirthankaras, and even if it was there also, you must have at least went through that at least in during your preparation. Centers of iron and steel making, ancient South India, and centers of iron and steel making. If it was in new age like South India, you can say that Salem is there. Many other locations are also there. But in old, if there was some, you must have went through. So you can easily eliminate that centers of iron and steel making. And steel making. Steel making, how can it be related to ancient South India? Because it's steel making is something which is modern, steel and everything. So it doesn't fit into my logic also. Capital cities. If it was capital cities also, you would have at least not any of these for Bhar and Muchit. So you can easily eliminate that capital cities also. Now we end up in the option B, which is ports. And Pumbhar is one of the prominent ports. So you can easily get into this answer, which is not so which is factual, but if you know one of the two, or you can eliminate at least two, you can attempt that answer. Now, fourth question is also from art and culture. So, which one of the following explains the practice of Bhatta Kirutal as mentioned in Sangam Marks? This is also the second question from Sangam, because the earlier question of Kumbhar Forts was also from Sangam literature. So, this time UPSC has given enough weightage to Sangam literature. All the time there will be one or two questions from Sangam literature. Last time also there was some questions from Sangam literature. So, it's a major important topic which can be easily covered from Tamil Nadu NCERT textbooks. So, Vata Kirutal as mentioned in Sangam literature. So here the options are king employing women bodyguards. Second is learned persons assembling in royal courts to discuss religious and philosophical matters. Third option is young girls keeping watch over agriculture field and driving away birds and animals. Fourth option is a king defeated in a battle committing ritual suicide by starving himself to death. So this is one technique. If you can and if you are good enough to think good enough to take risk, you can try. So in these both the statement, in statement A and B, the king employing women bodyguards, and the D is a king defeated in a battle committing ritual suicide. So it is a basic. If you have attempted UPSC for 2-3 years, you can understand that if a same option has similar words being repeated, there are high chances that any one of them can be the answers, because UPSC just want to confuse you. So here the same is that kings employing women bodyguards and king committing suicide, ritual suicide. So among them, you can cut short your options to both these. And the other three are young girls keeping watch over agriculture fields. Those are not very like serious thing which UPSC can ask, and it is like very it's not a great, it is not a big practice and all. It's just usual agriculture practice. So from this, if you have basic knowledge in Sangam literature, you can easily end up in the option of B, a king defeated in a battle committing ritual suicide. So that was a practice in Sangam literature and Sangam banks. So fifth one is from medieval India. So this paper, this set of paper is actually difficult at the first phase, because all this ancient medieval art and culture is coming at the first phase. So consider the following dynasties: Hoysala, Gahadawala, Kakatiya, and Yadava. How many of the above dynasties were established in early 8th century AD? So by seeing these dynasties, if I was about to write the answer, I know about Hoysala, because Hoysala is not anyhow in 8th century. Because Hoysala literature we would have gone through in art and culture. It is very famous also, Hoysala literature. So it is around 1000 AD. So it is not anyhow in 750 or 800 ADs. So I can say that it is not the Hoysala is not there. Then Kakatiya. So Kakatiya dynasty is very famous also, which is ruling in the coastal Andhra. So if you knows that it is around, I have a blind knowledge that it is around 12th to 13th century, or like not anyhow in 750 ADs. Because 750 ADs there has not been very seriously established kingdoms in the South India. So you can easily say that Kakatiya kingdom will also be not there. Now the only two options which is remaining is Gahadawala as well as the Yadava dynasty. So Yadava dynasty, which is actually Yadava dynasty is actually present is occupying a space in Maharashtra as well as in Madhya Pradesh. So in this, but this dynasty was established in 850s to 1334 AD, but it was not in the 8th century AD as per se, or in early 8th century AD, I must say. And coming to Gahdawala is in the state of in and around Kanauj area, in the present in the state of UP as well as Bihar. So it was a Rajput dynasty, and it was also around 11th to 12th century AD. So it doesn't comes in the early 8th century. So the only option which can doubt you seriously is Yadava dynasty, but it was also not in early 8th century AD. And by the way, if you can go through the ancient and medieval text of Satish Chandra, it would be very useful. And also, please go through that 12th and 11th NCRTs, which is very colorful as well as it has a large number of maps. So please go through these maps of ancient and medieval India of various dynasties or various small kingdoms, etc. This could help you in these questions at least. Now we are moving to next question. So which is also ancient and medieval with reference to ancient Indian history. Consider the following. It's a literature base. So Devi Chandragupta, Bilhana, Hammira, Mahakavya, Nayachandra Suri, Milintapana, Nagarjuna, Niti Vyakamrita, Somadeva Suri. So in this, initially itself, we know that Devi Chandragupta is not written by Bilhana. So it is Devi Chandragupta is by Kalidas. So that is very easy in this. And Milinda Panu is by Nagasena. That also you must have known too if you have gone through basics of these things. So there are two answers which we know that it is basically wrong. The other two is Niti Vyakyamrita. Niti Vyakyamrita is it's shown as Somadeva Suri. So if I was a person who is writing prelims, I would see that there are two answers which is coming with sounding Suri similarly. So one has to be correct, obviously. They need to confuse you with one, but one has to be correct. So anyhow, I know that So one has to be correct. Then Hammira is Mahakavya Nayachandra Suri. So out of these, I know that either it can be two only, or it can be three. So if you know, so this here you have to take a stand, and here the answer correct answer is only two, which is Hammira Mahakavya Nayachandra Suri is correct, as well as Niti Vyakyamrita by Somadeva Suri, both are correct. So you can easily get and quit to it, because the other two options you already know that it is wrong. So the other in this two, either it will be one only or two only. So we end up in the option of B. So yeah, now it's a very easy question, which is the seventh one. Souls are not only the property of animal and plant life, but also frogs, running water, many other natural objects not looked on. So, which sect or which religious beliefs actually holds Buddhism, Jainism, Shaivism, Vaishnavism? So any person who knows the basics of Buddhism and Jainism, you know that Jainism is considers souls in each and every organism, objects, etc. So that is why even if you know some people who are belong to Jain community, you know that they have restrictions in their food also. They won't eat food which is grown underground, basically, if my knowledge is correct. Um, so you can easily end up in writing this as Jainism, because Jainism considers soul in every atom of the nature. So it is in that way. Next is also coming medieval India. So it is much more easy this time. Who among the following Vijayanagara rulers constructed a large dam across Tungabhadra River and a aqueduct several kilometers long from the river to the capital city? The options are very similar. Devaraya 1, Mallikarjuna, Veera Vijaya, and Virupaksha. So anyone knows that this is, if you are a quizzer or if you are interested in quizzes also, this is very important one in that. who constructed dam across the Brahmaputra River. There is no chance for doubt. It is Devaraya I who ruled around 1410 AD in and around Vijayanagara Empire. So he was also the prominent rulers also of Vijayanagara Empire. So that can easily be done. And believe me, all the papers, if there will be one question from Vijayanagara Empire. Either there will be question from Vijayanagara Empire, or there will be an option as Vijayanagara Empire. This maybe this art form belongs to, or what this belongs to which empire or something. I remember in one of the attempts, one of the examination they have asked Kalyana Mandabas is a typical architectural specificity of which of the empires. So in that there was Vijayanagara Empire. So if you know the content, or if you don't know, you can easily safely end up in Vijayanagara. So study Vijayanagara Empire. There will be one question definitely from medieval India from Vijayanagara Empire, and it's easy to cover also. Next is, which among the following rulers of medieval Gujarat surrendered due to Portuguese? So Ahmad Shah, Mahmud Begha, Bahadur Shah, Muhammad Shah. So if any of the serious aspirants who have read Spectrum, initially I think it is the fourth or fifth page, we have Portuguese invasion into India. Or I think fourth or fifth page, I don't exactly remember, but there it is specifically said that there are two blue water policy of Almeida, etc. has been discussed if my memory is correct. So in that it is specifically said that Bahadur Shah actually surrendered this PU to Portuguese, and the Portuguese commander at that time was Nino da Cunha. So two were the Nino da Cunha as well as Almeida. So Nino da Cunha got this due from Portuguese. Got this due to Portuguese from Bahadur Shah. So this is very pretty easy question if you have read Spectrum. So Spectrum is very important. Don't ever over focus only on the 1857 and apart from the Spectrum. Always focus on the ancient and medieval, or not ancient and medieval, modern part of Spectrum, like from at least from Portuguese invasion 1498, which has given detailed of Portuguese invasion, English or British invasion, as well as Dutch invasion, French invasion, etc. So study this, and the wars also, Carnatic wars also. These are very important these times. See, direct questions are being asked. If you know this, you can easily crack this question. Next is a bit more easy. Now we are going to some of the easy part. Modern India. By which of the following act was the Governor General of Bengal designated as Governor General of India? So you must have an idea about. So the options are Regulating Act, Pitt's India Act. Regulating Act was in 1770s. Pitt's India Act is in 1784. Charter Act of 1793 and Charter Act of 1833. So you must know this is one of the key topics where which direct questions will definitely be asked. Study or make a two-page note of all the Charter Acts as well as the Government of India Acts. And directly or indirectly questions will be asked. Mostly it will be direct. You can easily write in one of the examination, I think in 2018 or 19, residuary subjects was transferred to which of the following in the one of the Charter Act. So there was direct was Governor General, Governor General, Viceroy, etc. It was very direct from all the basic resources, but prepare a two-page note and revise it periodically. So here you can see that Governor General of Bengal, or so here you can see that Governor General of Bengal. So initially it was Governor of Bengal, Governor of Madras, Governor of Bombay. So Governor General was given a much better or much more role compared to other governors of the state. So it would be because 1770s or 1784 there was no time for all those things, because they were establishing the kingdom, or they were establishing the British Empire in India. So there was no much centralization at that time, and so the centralization was at the peak during 1833, where the Governor General of Bengal was made superior to other governors. So his position was raised from Governor of Bengal to Governor General of Bengal. So if you know that 1833 Act is one of the act where highest centralization of one of the act which centralized the powers, it was 1833 Act. So Governor General of Bengal would be raised to Governor of Bengal would be raised to Governor General of Bengal mostly in 1833. And for your information, it will be in 1858. This Viceroy system will come. So that is how you can crack that question. Anyhow, it won't be in 1770s. They are just in trying new mechanisms, even like a dual government, systems, etc. So all these things. So they are not in so settled position for centralization, and it would be not in 1770s this would happen. Next is very easy question in essence. So yeah, now we were going with the 11th question. It is basically a polity. So due process of law. What does due process of law means? There have been four options: principle of natural justice, procedure established by law, fair application of law, equality before law. So if you have a basic understanding of what is due process of law as well as procedure established by law, I'll just make it very simple. In India, till 10 years before or maybe 5 years before, what we were following was completely uh, procedure established by law. So procedure established by law. Legislature passes a bill. Judiciary doesn't involve in the intention of the bill, or they doesn't questions about the intention of the bill or the morality, constitutional morality of the bill. They just sees whether the law is applicable to a person in the fair and right manner. So that is procedure established by law. When in case of due process of law, the judiciary will actually enter into the shoes of legislature and will check whether the intention of the legislature as well as the greater impact of the legislature, etc., is correct or not. So constitutional morality will also be checked in this due process of law. But in procedure established by law, they doesn't involve in all these things. They check whether this is applicable or this is applied correctly or not, nothing more. So in the third option, the second option, due process of law, they are asking what is due process of law. The second option, it is procedure established by law. Those are conflicting as well as I said. So we can easily eliminate that. Equality before law. This has nothing to do with equality before law. Equality before law as well as equal opportunities is a different set of fundamental rights. So it has nothing to do. Fair application of law. It also doesn't have anything to do with the due process of law. Now coming to the first option, the principle of natural justice. So why this now the Indian courts are moving from procedure established by law to a due process of law because the courts are more and more involving in having a what to say judicial activism in this because courts not just interpret this legislation but they also check whether the legislature intention is correct or not. So why do they check it legislature intention is correct or not? Because for greater good of the society or for upholding the natural justice. So you can easily end up in the option A. Here you would have confusion between option A as well as option C, fair application of law. But on a higher stand, on a broader idea, due process of law is for natural justice. 12th is another easy question, polity. So consider the following statements. Statement one is in India, prisons are managed by state governments with their own rules and regulations for the day-to-day administration of prisons. So this is a statement-based question. Statement one and statement two. Statement one is so they are asking whether statement two, one and two are correct, and one is a correct explanation. Two is the correct explanation for one. Second statement is in India, prisons are governed by the Prisons Act 1894, which expressly kept the subjects of prison in the control of provincial governments, which are the correct. So in this, you can easily see that yeah, in this you can easily see that first statement obviously need to be correct because prisons day-to-day management is done by the state government. If you go through the daily news, the state governments actually make some new regulations or new rules for prisons, and it is doesn't even come from the any jurisdiction of the central government. They don't control this, and even state government actually gives the exemptions for some people as a part of Independence Day and all. You must have gone through all these. So first statement obviously needs to be correct. The only confusion which comes here is second statement. In India, prisons are governed by the Prisons Act of 1894, which expressly gives prisons as a provincial government subject. So, so here, though the statement two is correct, it need not be the correct explanation for one because you can think in another form. Because yeah, state government subject, you can think that it is this statement is expressly they have given that expressly kept the subject. So it is not expressly kept in 1894 Act. It is basically set in 1935 Government of India Act. So if you know that these certain words, extreme words are given, you can easily or you can fairly or decently think that those can be wrong. So the statement two is obviously wrong, but statement one is correct. So both statement one, yeah, so here the yeah both statement one is correct, but statement two is wrong. So the option is coming to be C. And I'm here putting in a disclaimer since UPC has not released the answer keys. Here we have certain answer keys which is in the available in the open source as well as in market. So There can be deviations in these answers when the UPSC publishes its exact list, because there will be changes in at least 3 to 5 answers since UPSC for UPSC's answers as well as our like the institute's answers. So now coming to 13th, yeah, this is one of the easiest questions in the paper. Which one of the following statements best reflects the chief purpose of constitution of any country of a country? It determines the objective for making of necessary laws. It enables the creation of political offices and government. It defines and limits the powers of the government. It secures social justice, security, equality, etc. So a normal serious UPSC aspirant, when they read the third sentence, it defines and limits the powers of the government. So you must have gone through the term constitutionalism. Constitutionalism is a limited government. So there is certain limitations of the government. Our fundamental rights itself is a limitations of the government, because government needs to provide these fundamental rights. So it is a duty upon the government, or it is upon, like, there are restrictions for government while making rules which can affect various fundamental rights. So obviously the third option, it defines and limits the powers of the government, because constitution or constitutionalism is that. 14th question. In India, which one of the following constitutional amendments were widely believed to be enacted to overcome the judicial interpretations of the fundamental rights? So it is also one of the easy questions. First Amendment, 42nd Amendment, 44th Amendment, 86th Amendment. So anyhow, 86th Amendment you can easily cut off, because this question of fundamental rights as well as amendment is a debated topic long since the constitution came into being. It is not something recent. 86th Amendment, if you know that, it is basically for education, right to education act. So one of the this amendment was meant to put that as fundamental rights. So it has nothing to do with the fight between this. And in 42nd and 44th Amendment, you can see that 42nd Amendment was made during emergency period, or during the Indira Gandhi government, where so many changes were made in the constitution. And 44th Amendment was basically made to reverse all these changes when the Janata government came into power. So it has also nothing to do with, and these are all happening in 1976 to 80, because the after emergency only this election happened and Janata government came into power. Indira Gandhi lost. So most of this happened in 1977 to 1980. It has nothing to, and this fight you would have gone through across the state. Golaknath case, those many cases are there. So it would have happened very early. So you can easily go for the first one, which happened in 1951. So next question is about which one of the bodies as constitutional bodies. So National Commission for Backward Classes, National Human Rights Commission, National Law Commission, and National Customer Dispute Redressal Commission. So you can easily know that National Human Rights Commission doesn't comes under is not a constitutional body, and it comes under it is under Protection of Human Rights Act of 1993, and even this National Customer Dispute Redressal. These are all executive bodies, or these are all statutory bodies. And here comes National Law Commission. Law Commission is also statutory body. It's also statutory body, or you can easily go with the National Commission for Backward Classes, and it is under Article 338B of Indian Constitution. So you can easily eliminate those two, and even you can know that which are the constitutional bodies when you study polity through election become. Next is polity itself. If the election of, so consider the following statement: if the election of the President of India is declared void by the Supreme Court of India, all acts done by him or her in the performance of duty before the date of decision become invalid. So you must know that whenever a president is made, whenever the Supreme Court declares that the election of the president is null and void, the decisions taken by him before this date will remain strong, as well as it is like it has all the effect, and it doesn't become null and void. This is a specific thing which is given in the election recount in the President of India chapter. Second statement is elections for the post of the president can be postponed on the ground of some legislative assemblies have been dissolved and elections are yet to take place. You know that president's election, MLAs also vote, but it doesn't mean that if a state assembly is dissolved or is in some other, if actually suspended or something, president election won't be shifted on any cases. It will happen in other states where complete assembly of the or complete MLAs are there. So it doesn't get postponed because one or the other states may have elections. So it cannot be postponed accordingly. Third is when a bill is presented to the President of India, the Constitution prescribes the time limit within which he has to give his assent, or don't have to give his assent. Obviously, it is not. Anyone who has knowledge in politics knows that it is the President's veto power when to sign this bill, whether to sign or keep it in hold, etc. So, but once he doesn't, once the bill comes to him and he actually returns it back to Lok Sabha for or Rajya Sabha for reconsideration. When it is again returned back, there is some time. But once it comes in the original form, it doesn't have any time. We can take as much as time we want to sign the bill or not to sign the bill. When the Lok Sabha transmits the finance bill to the Rajya Sabha, it can amend or reject the bill. Second statement. So you know that the Lok Sabha has a complete authority over money bills, but finance bill is something which is different from money bills. Second statement. When the Lok Sabha transmits money bill to the Rajya Sabha, it cannot amend or reject the bill. It can only make recommendations. In the case of disagreement between Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, there is no joint sitting for money bill, but joint sitting become necessary for finance bills. So this is a tricky question because it is not just money bill, it is a finance bill. Only people who know the correct difference between money bill as well as a finance bill can go into attempting this question. Yeah. So here the first statement, as you know, so the first statement is exactly correct. When the Lok Sabha transmit bill to the Rajya Sabha, when the Lok Sabha transmit finance bill to the Rajya Sabha, it can amend or or reject the bill. And the finance bill can only be introduced in Lok Sabha. However, Rajya Sabha can only recommend, actually give his recommendation. It cannot act upon the finance bill. So yeah, so here the answer will be option A or one only, because other statements are not correct. In the case all other statements, if we can read to other statements can be other two statements can be considered wrong. Next is environment question. It is also a tricky question. Consider the following statements. Once the central government notifies an area as community reserve, the chief wildlife warden of the state becomes the governing authority of the state. Second is hunting is not allowed in such place. People of such area are allowed to collect non-timber forest produce. People of such area are allowed to carry over their traditional agriculture practices. How many statements are there? So yeah. So here one twist is you might be knowing hunting will not be allowed, and people in such area. And people of such area are allowed to carry over their traditional forest practices. So here, this is a specific question which you need to know about the concept of community reserve. So whenever a community reserve is declared by the central government, then the authority will pass on to the chief wildlife warden of the state. So statement one is also correct. Statement two is also correct. Hunting is not allowed. And statement statement three is statement 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 4 is not correct, because people of such area are allowed to carry out their agriculture practices. That is also not allowed. So the options comes around option C. There may be slight variations in the answer key when the UPSC prepares. 19th question is, with reference to scheduled areas in India, consider the following statements. So this is one of the major important topics, the schedule as well as the scheduled areas and quality, and it must be thoroughly gone through, especially in the wake of these Manipur incidents, Manipur unrest in Manipur, which is a major headlines in these days. Within a state, the notification of an area of scheduled area takes place through an order of the president. So scheduled area is actually declared by the president only. So the largest administrative unit for forming the scheduled area is the district, and the lowest is cluster of villages in the block. So that most of us will not be knowing. The chief ministers of the concerned states are required to submit annual report to the Union Home Ministry on the administration of scheduled areas. There is a catch. Do you think that the chief minister, as the central government, if they or the president, if they declare one area as a scheduled area under constitution, will it be the chief minister or will it be the governor who will be supposed to send the reports to the Union Home Ministry? And Union Home Ministry. So it would be obviously governor. It would not be chief minister, because chief minister is not an agent of the center. Governor is supposed to be the agent of the center in the state. So a third statement will obviously be correct. And if you can, third statement is obviously wrong, because it is not chief minister, it is governor. And if the second statement, it can be correct, because largest administrative unit can be a district and smallest can be group of villages in a block. So here two options are correct, and option B will be the answer. Now coming to the next question, it's about our Supreme Court. Supreme Court of India has held in some judgments that the reservation policies made under 16(4) of the Constitution would be limited by Article 355 for maintenance of efficiency of the system. So reservation should not affect the efficiency of the administration. There is Article 335. So the second statement is Article 335 of the Constitution defines the term efficiency of administration. Do you think that in Constitution and at that time Article 355 when they have framed, there would be like some provisions to specifically define what is efficiency in administration? And even if they defined also, this is such a broad term, it cannot be defined. So statement two obviously needs to be wrong. And even if you UPSC gives any statement like it is clearly defined or if it is defined, then have a second thought on that, because there are least chances that these minutest things can be prescribed in constitution which was made like in 1947. We don't know what is efficiency of administration now. Now it is technological era, so it can change. The second statement is obviously wrong. Um, yeah, so first statement is correct also, Article 335. Reservation should not affect the efficiency of administration. It is Article 335. So option C comes. Statement 1 is correct, but statement 2 is incorrect. Now we are going to economics and the 21st question. India, despite having uranium deposits, depends on coal for most of its electricity production. Uranium enriched to the extent of at least 60% is required for the production of electricity. So here statement 1 is correct. India, though it have uranium deposit, is actually depending upon coal for most of its electricity production. And second statement, uranium enriched to at least 60%. The percentage is a bit low. You should have got the red light when UPSC have given that value of 60%. So it is from 0.7 to 20% uranium enrichment is needed just for the utilization of uranium. So the same statement C, statement 1 is correct and statement 2 is wrong. Next is environment. It's very easy question. Marsupials are not naturally found in India. You must have known what is marsupial. Marsupial is actually any organisms which carries their baby in their belly, kangaroos, etc. So now itself your light will happen. Now itself that red light should come. Marsupials are not naturally found in India. Second statement is marsupial can thrive only in mountain grasslands with no predators. So first is obviously correct. You can't see any marsupials in India. You can't see kangaroos and all in India. First is obviously correct. Second is only in mountain grasslands with no predators. Obviously, Australia has marsupials even in their plains. It doesn't mean that it is only in mountains. And only word it seems to be extreme. You can easily eliminate statement two, and we end up in option C. So invasive species specialist group develops global invasive species database belong to which one of the following? IUCN, UNEP, United Nations World Commission for Environment and Development, the World WWF. So here it's a factual question and it has been in the reports also. So the answer is A, IUCN, invasive species. The other option you can even eliminate United Nations Environment Program that doesn't involve in this invasive species and all. It is either WWF or IUCN. But this is a factual question and you have to take it. Consider the following fauna: lion-tailed macaque, Malabar civet, sambar deer, which are nocturnal, generally nocturnal or seen after sunset. So this is actually a factual question. So if you know Malabar civet, so it is actually found in many parts of Kerala. So it is actually nocturnal. Being a Keralite, I know this point. And third is sambar deer. Sambar deer, I have no idea how this works out. And lion-tailed macaque. Lion-tailed macaque too anyhow it will not be because it is in Silent Valley National Park, and it is usually presented. You can see even if you see the photographs also, you must have seen this photographs of this lion-tailed macaque. It is usually present in the daytime. Most of the photographs. So you can end up in sambar deer will be a confusion, but you can easily end up in only two because at least two will be there. Sambar deer I don't think like if you have seen sambar deer and all, you usually see them active in daylight also. So statement two, only two will be the correct answer. Now, which one of the organisms perform waggle dance for others to their feet to indicate the direction and distance to the pose of their foot? So this is very factual question. So there will be confusion between majorly honeybees and wasps. I had the same confusion because there can be butterflies also, dragonflies, so I eliminated. There can be butterflies also, but more is towards these similar things. Honeybees and wasps are very similar, so I thought anyone should be there. So the answer is honeybees, which actually in fact is good. So some mushrooms have medical properties, some mushrooms have psychoactive properties, some mushrooms have insecticidal properties, some mushrooms have bioluminescent properties. Here you must know that some all the mushroom varieties in the world are not yet explored. So there can be some belonging to all these categories. And especially take this word for granted. If there is some use in most of these words, it can be easily considered as correct. there is some only. So earlier it was marsupials only in mountain. Why not? It can be even present in some pockets where it is not explored. So it is very extreme. But some is like okay, reasonable. So you can easily go for all the options. Now, Indian squirrels, they build nests by making burrows in the ground. They store their food materials like nuts and seeds in the ground. They are omnivores. Omnivores that most of us will know. Second and first statement is they build nests by making burrows in the ground. So, first statement is wrong. They actually, it must be like they actually makes it in the trees. And the second statement is they store their food like nuts in the ground. So that can be correct. They might have stored, but their nests may not be in the ground. So here only two options are correct. Option B. So there is also doubts in this question. When UPSC releases a key, we will be much more clear on this. So next question 28. Some microorganisms can grow in environments with temperature above boiling point. Some microorganisms can grow in environment with temperature below freezing point. Some microorganisms can grow in highly acidic environment. Some. So, and this is an environment question. Organisms are still not completely discovered or mapped up. So you can easily end up. So you know even some organisms which live in highly acidic content. You must have heard some news the some rare organisms which live like that. 29th is which one of the following makes a tool with a stick to scrap insects from a hole in the tree or a log of wood? Fishing cat, orangutan, otter, and sloth bear. So here the only the thing fishing cat too you can easily eliminate. I think sloth bear, otter, and orangutan because these are all very much related to wood as well as the sloth bear. Everyone these are very much related to trees and all. So this is a factual question, and the answer is orangutan because even you can think the other way like if you need to make tool and you need to put up the ants outside, insects outside, you need to have some features like human beings. So it can be orangutan is very much similar to human beings. So you can have that. Next question is aerosols, foam agents, fire retardants, lubricants. The making of how many of them hydrofluorocarbons are used? This is an environment question. You might not know specifically which all actually needs, but actually you know aerosols, foam agents. These can be very much into HFC's production, fire retardants, and all. So you can safely end up this answer in environment these questions like all the above. Option B. Don't think much on this question because these are environment questions. Many things are science and tech questions, and many things are yet to come out. So as of now, we can safely assume that there may be some production. We can't totally say that there is no production. Even if it is a 0.01%, there is production. Next is geography. Jhelum River passes through Bolar Lake. Krishna River directly feeds Kolleru Lake. Meandering of Gandak forms Kandwa River. You should have the red light when you see Krishna River directly feeds Kolleru Lake. Why they have given that word? Why should they have given Krishna River feeds Kolleru Lake would have been enough. So second statement obviously is wrong. And first and second is obviously correct. Jhelum you must have known when you have studied geography, physical geography, and in the river wala part, Himalayan rivers, you must have seen all these. Jhelum actually makes this polar lake, etc. So that is correct. And meandering of Gandak forms Kanwar Lake. That is also correct. So the two will be the yeah. Now we are moving to economics. 32nd questions. Not directly economic, but still ports. Kamraj Port, first major port in India, registered as a company. Mundra Port, largest privately owned port in India. Third, Visakhapatnam Port, largest container port in India. Here, everyone must have known about Mundra Port because Mundra is one of the largest privately owned port in India. So that can easily be found correct with the other two options. See, if you knows that, yeah, if you knows that, so Visakhapatnam is the largest container port in India. So you know that Visakhapatnam is not the largest container port because if it was the largest, it should be somewhat in the Mumbai because largest container port, large amount of trade should happen. Visakhapatnam, though trade is happening, not that much amount. So it is the answer is Jawaharlal Nehru Port, which is present in Mumbai, is the major container port in India, largest container port in India. And the Kamraj Port, first major port in India, registered as a company. So that is a factual thing which you have to know. So it is the first actually major port which is registered as a company. But the other two you can even get up into the options, and so the answer will be only two pairs. Geography, another question. It is not just geography, it is combined with environment also. Jackfruit, mahua, and teak. Which of these are deciduous trees? Here you can easily get into one answer. Jackfruit. Jackfruit you usually see in Kerala and all. So Kerala, the presence of deciduous forest is least or nil, you can say, especially deciduous. Okay. Kerala is mostly bounded with evergreen forest. So jackfruit is an evergreen tree. So it doesn't belong to deciduous forest. So you can easily eliminate that. Mahu and teak. Mahu and teak, if you are a good reader, you can know that Mahu and teak are both deciduous trees, and hence option B, only two will be the correct answer. And the other trees basically, um, yeah, these are the major trees which actually belong to deciduous forest. And jackfruit, anyhow, you must have obviously spotted that it's found in Kerala, and Kerala has less. India has more arable land than China. The proportion of irrigated area is more in India as compared to China. The average productivity per hectare in Indian agriculture is higher than that of China. How much is correct? So third, anyhow, you can understand that China is much more technologically advanced in agriculture. So the productivity means how much you produce per acre, per hectare. So China will use more amount of greater fertilizers or greater mechanization, and they may produce. They are chances that they produce more than India. So you can easily eliminate three. Second is the proportion of irrigated area is more in India. So that obviously is correct. We are one of the highest groundwater users for agriculture. So first is India has more arable land than China. That is also correct because China has large amount of land which is occupied by the Himalayas as well as the northern cold desert. So two options are correct. And you can easily eliminate three and you can end up in only three. Which one of the following is best example of repeated falls in sea level giving rise to present day extensive marsh? Bitarkanika mangroves, Marakanam salt pans, Naupada swamp, and run of Kutch. So here, Bitarkanika mangroves. So mangroves is actually formed due to periodic rise and fall, and it is still continuing. So this is actually formed. The other feature they are saying the question is already formed. Then Bitarkanika, then Naupada swamp. Swamp is also not completely formed. It is also in the process of formation. So I had a confusion between Maracanum salt plants and Ran of Kutch. The answer is Ran of Kutch. Maracanum salt plants also Ran of Kutch is one of the old features, so you can easily get into that, and it's one of the premier features also. Ilmenite, ilmenite and rutile abundantly available in certain coastal tracts of India is rich in which of the following? So another easy elimination question: aluminium, copper, iron, and titanium. So consider coastal area of India. If iron was found in some of the coastal areas, you would have easily known. Basically, if I can say, iron is basically found in Rajasthan belt and as well as Hasribagh Plateau, Jharkhand, these places. So it is not very well found in coastal tracts. You must have gone through or you must have heard somewhere if it has been in some of the coastal parts of India. Then aluminium. Aluminium is